probably be able to look at the signs and reach out to someone and ask for help. We might have been able to just go up to our mother and just say, "Mom, we're here to help you. We understand what you're going through." But because of this taboo in schools that we can't teach kids about addiction, we can't teach kids about how to help one another, or how the human brain works, or how to cope with the feelings that they may have. So I advocate that we allow for more of this education in schools, and we allow for people to come in and tell their stories. I imagine if Dave would have came in and talked, I would have been scared when I was in elementary school. Maybe by junior high, I was taken to his message, and maybe it would have been like a scared straight kind of moment, where I would have realized someone like Dave has gone through this. It's not always that person you see on TV where they want you to think it's this junkie that's curled up in a ball, and it's a loved one, it's someone you know. It could be your mother. It also could be your cousin or brother. I lost my cousin Dan. I guess it's about 3 years now. Dan and I were real close. We were best of friends. Everywhere you saw Dan, you saw me, and vice versa. We got into a lot of trouble together. We were in bars together. Whatever you can imagine, Dan and I were there through thick and thin. But at the end of the night, I could go home. Dan couldn't. The end of the night for Dan was 3-4 days later, sometimes a week later, and everybody portrayed this as Dan just being a party animal. One day Dan will grow up and he'll get better. He just has to get over the hump. He's having a lot of fun. Well, after going to prison 2 or 3 times and being in rehab 12, 13 times, Dan just wasn't getting better. He overdosed in prison when a prison guard gave him heroin. A prison that many of us feel is a safe place for our loved ones. We finally know where they're at. We finally know that they're safe. But you're seeing more and more of these overdoses in prisons, these for-profit prisons. Dan had a daughter, and Dan was so happy the day his daughter was born. He was going to the hospital to see her, and he was proud that he named her. And he said, "I now know what I got to do in life. I got to be a father. This is what's going to save me. Being a father is my purpose in life." And that lasted for a little while for Dan, a few months. And you can just see it in his eyes. He loved this little girl, and he would do anything for her. But that wasn't enough, because, like Paul Fletcher says, you have to love yourself. And Dan didn't love himself. He didn't know how to. He loved everyone else, though. He'd give you the shirt off his back. He would go in and redo your basement for you for free. Even sometimes he offered him a meal that was too much because he was too modest. But he would do anything for anyone, but he wouldn't just do something for himself. He didn't know how to love himself and how to get himself better. He didn't know what he wanted out of life. He knew what he thought he wanted, and he thought that daughter was going to save him, but it didn't. Not too far from here in Kensington is when where Dan was when he overdosed. I remember getting a phone call. I knew as soon as the phone rang. I knew what the response was going to be on the other end. So, from my perspective, and seeing all the things that I've seen, not being an addict, but being someone who's been close with people who are addicted, or people that have been struggling and haven't gotten the help they need because of the hurdles that are out there and because of the stigma, I decided that I was going to write a bill called Addiction's Not a Crime. And what this bill does is it takes the failed war on drugs that's just locking people up and throwing away the key and not giving them treatment, and it gets the federal government out of the process so that we can have access to treatment, so that we don't have lobbyists like the pharmaceutical industry writing the laws, so that we don't have lobbyists like the for-profit prison industry writing the laws, because the for-profit prison industry writes the laws to keep people incarcerated. There's no incentive to get people better. So my bill takes the failed war on drugs and throws it out the door. It allows you to go get treatment. It allows for more treatment options by getting rid of the stigma, by allowing you to walk into, let's say, a police department and saying, "I need help. I don't want to be arrested. I just need help. I need you to help me get there." And then it helps get that interaction between the police and the community once again. It abolishes for-profit prisons because I think it's immoral, and like I said, there's no incentive for anyone to get better. There's no incentive for a prison to rehabilitate someone. Mandatory minimum sentences would be completely stopped, because a mandatory minimum sentence does not help someone get better. It It does not serve a practical purpose to the public. But what this bill also does is it takes models like Portugal and Switzerland and Ireland, models that have been proven to work throughout the world, and it implements a free market system here at home that can work. The free market is you and I. The free market are people who own recovery homes, people who have gone through this addiction and recovery process, people who are invested. Because if you don't have people that are invested, you're going to have what we have today, and that's what's in Washington, D.C. People that just want to be reelected. And that's not what's solving this problem. But just talking about some of the data, since 1980, the incarceration rate has risen by 800%. The U.S. is #1 in illegal drug use in the world. Overdoses exceed car accidents and violent crimes combined. But in places like Portugal, in 2001, they started a path of decriminalization. And they said, we're going to bring treatment in front of incarceration. And their model actually took about 90% of those that were incarcerated before now go to treatment, and about 10% go into the incarceration process, or into the prison population. And in a 10 or 11 year span, they completely solved the problem. They completely reversed everything. Whereas we have a 5% success rate here with our recovery process, they have about an 85% success rate. They were at one time where we were at 5%. It took 10 or 11 years just to turn things around. They have a process to where you can just go and ask for help and you get the help. They also found that it's much cheaper to treat someone than it is to incarcerate someone. Because when you incarcerate someone, it's just a revolving door. These people going in through the prison system, most of them are nonviolent drug offenders that have never harmed an individual in their lives, and then they're taught to be criminals in prison because they have to live with other criminals. So now we send them out on the streets. People who weren't criminals, now they're criminals. And then they jump into that revolving door where they get back into the prison cycle. And a lot of these people, they learn to be addicts in prison too. They can get drugs in prison. They're depressed. They're in this small cage. What else are they going to resort to? Excuse me. So in Portugal, since they've completely turned things around, they've also seen that crime is down. The criminal elements like gangs and cartels are almost completely obsolete because you now took their demand away. It's a lesson of supply and demand there. Once you take the demand away, the supply has to go. So now the criminals are going somewhere else. It's kind of like the prohibition of alcohol. When Al Capone ruled the streets here in the United States, and some of the other gangsters, they got behind alcohol because it was illegal, because everyone was going to be arrested, whoever had alcohol in their possession. So in Portugal, they've solved this problem. Here in the States, we can take models like Portugal and we can implement our own system. And implement one that saves money, implement one that saves lives, and implement one that just completely erases the stigma so that people can get the help that they need. In Switzerland, in 1994, they started safe injection sites. And I know a lot of people have things to say about safe injection sites. They're not sure whether or not they might work. But in Switzerland, in 1994, they started with 1,300 doses being administered annually. Since then, they have not had one overdose. Not one overdose. So if we implement things like Switzerland and Portugal and come up with our own model here at home, we should be able to solve this problem in 10 and 15 years as well. If we don't do something now, if we don't do something different, if we do what we've always been doing, we're going to get the same results that we've always had. There's some success that we've had here in Pennsylvania. Folks are working with police departments to allow people to come in, and the police say, you know what, we're gonna negate the fact that you committed a crime because they're acknowledging that this just doesn't work. Throwing people behind bars just does not work. So they're allowing people to come in. You give them your drugs, or you tell them what you've been doing and what you need help with, and they get you the help you need. And you don't have a criminal record because of it. If we can instill that trust in the community with police officers once again, and we can have a relationship that actually works rather than thinking every time that a siren goes off that we're looking behind our shoulder because we're going to go to jail, maybe we'll be able to solve some problems. Coupling this with the education, coupling this with not throwing people in jail. I think that we can really solve some problems here. I know that my brother Dan, or my cousin Dan, might be here today, if he didn't have some of the hurdles that he had. But quite possibly he wouldn't, because people need to want to get better. They need to be invested in it themselves too. We can't just think that everyone's going to be fixed, that we can treat everyone's brain so that they can love themselves, so that they can want to be a father or a mother, because we know that that's not all that they can hang their hat on, because that's not all that works. I've talked with many people throughout these town halls. We've gone to Pittsburgh and Erie and Johnstown, all over Pennsylvania. And the message that I get from everybody is treatment works. We need more treatment. But we also need to get rid of the hurdles. We need to get rid of the hurdles with the insurance companies to where you may only have a bed for 7 days or 30 days. You don't have a certain kind of insurance, so you can't get treatment in a certain area. Let's open up the doors. Stop incarcerating people. Stop this revolving door and allow people to get to treatment, because we know treatment works.